was really fascinating. I'd never been there, so I looked around. I started following people, followed to the rotunda, well, what they were calling the rotunda, and just looked around for the most part. I never knew that they had a big Christian painting at the very top of the dome. Looking at all the architecture, looking at the marble, looking at the statues and everything, that was actually really fascinating. Well, when I was walking around, I came across people taking pictures, talking to themselves in videos, live chats. I had heard when I started walking away from the rotunda area, I was walking toward one of the other entrances. So they had the one they had actually broke through with the broken glass and everything. I ended up walking toward there and looking at the damage and just exploring for the most part. Someone ended up spraying a fire extinguisher at one of the officers, so ended up expanding through the entire room, made it real difficult to breathe. So I got out of that area as fast as I could. I ended up walking up some stairs to one of the upper parts, seeing about 40, 50 feet up. At least that's what it seemed like, maybe, from the window I was looking down from. And I'm just looking around. I did hear people smashing, kicking the doors. Ended up walking toward, I guess, what was being told, from what I now understand, would be toward the house chamber. Because I ended up walking downstairs, going toward the right. Yeah, going toward the right. And I heard a big crowd of people had pushed their way through because I could hear the noise. And then I will see people kicking on the doors. I see people. I seen one person that looked like urinating in the corner of the room. Like, are you serious right now? So after I started seeing stuff like that, I got to the feeling of, hey, maybe I should just leave. This does not look correct.
Yeah. What was your reaction to seeing people, breaking into parts of the building, fighting with police?
Actually seeing the damage and seeing broken things, it's like, this is not going to end well for anyone now. It's one thing it's one thing for them to just sit there and let us in or whatnot, but there's glass, there's blood, there's urination. I don't even want to know what that brown stuff is. So I got the feeling of impending need to leave now, need to leave. This is not going the way that anyone probably could imagine it to have supposed to have gone.
Do you feel like you kind of got caught up in that moment?
No. I said I had got in my head for that moment to get out of there when I started seeing people it looked like urinating in the corner. I don't even know what this brown stuff is, and I don't want to know. I see broken glass. I got it in my head that I probably should get out of here because it's not any well for anybody, because I don't think anyone assumed thought this was going to go this way. So I ended up making my...
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
I ended up trying to make my way out of there, and there was a giant crowd of people at the area I was trying to get out of. I had seen people gathering over by what looked like stairs. So I walked over there, and then I started seeing what I guess was the basement, and then started seeing officers coming up with their guns drawn. And knew right there, okay, it's done. Gotta leave. So at the very least, I tried telling people, hey, they're coming up with guns drawn. This is not going to end well. So at the very least, I tried telling them, hey, they're coming up with guns drawn. I don't want nobody to get shot. They're coming up with their guns drawn. So they ended up coming up with their guns drawn, walking upstairs and walking up to where the Senate was. And that's when I started walking. After they had all walked up in their group, I walked up the stairs following them, being a little nosy, seeing what was going on. And then I seen people on the ground, hands up, being face down on the ground, and I walked my happy little back down those stairs, pushed my way through the crowd, ended up passing a cop his helmet because another cop was trying to pass it to him and he dropped it or whatever. Passed him his, and I got out of there.
You saw the helmet on the ground, you picked it up and gave it to him?
It looked like he was trying to pass it to him. It got knocked out of his hand, so I grabbed it, picked it up, gave it to the guy who was by the door, and closed my way out of there because there was a lot of people trying to squeeze their way in and out of that little area of